So, hey everybody. So, listen, I am so running behind with this bumper crop of tomatoes that you see behind me. And believe it or not, I still have tons of tomatoes that I have yet to do anything with. So, we're going to do something with these tomatoes tonight. Now, all of these are out of my garden, okay? And everything that you see is going to be straight from my garden, okay? So we're going to do some canning tonight. We're going to figure out what we're going to do with these squash. Oh, yeah, I had a nice crop of squash this year. And yeah, so if you want to see how I can up these tomatoes so we can have some fresh tomatoes in the winter months for soups and Italian breads and things to that nature, then keep watching. Yeah, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm gonna just give everything a quick rinse and wash everything down nice and good. And don't judge me. I put a drop of Dawn detergent into the water just to help get a lot of that dirt and stuff off, especially the squash, because a lot of them, was down in the dirt on the ground. And yeah, so I put just a little drop in, and that's why you see, see the bubbles there. It's just all of that little suds just came from one little drop, and I had the water on nice and hot to get all of, the dirt and outside off of them. So yeah, so I'll, do this to, the squash and a lot of the peppers. Now, the tomatoes are different since a lot of them are on the vine. I just pretty much, wash them nice and good with some warm water, warm to hot water, and just rinse them off. Well, sometimes I'll let them sit depending on, how much, dirt and things to that nature has been, blowing around back there. But the tomatoes are real easy to, clean up. They're more easier than the squash and the peppers, because a lot of my peppers have, fell off of the vine, and I just so happened to came out there and picked them up. And then the crazy thing is something was back there eating a lot of my veggies. And this is basically from, my bumper crop of tomatoes, and everything looks really good. But yeah, I think a deer was back there eating my veggies. So I make sure I clean everything off really nice and good. And the tomatoes are in good shape. Some of them have a little couple growth blemishes on them, but that's okay. We're going to just, cut them off. So here I'm just, going through to see which ones I'm going to use immediately, because the ones that are really, really ripe and really, really soft, I'm going to use tonight. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to make, whether I'm going to make a salsa or tomato sauce. So yeah, so these are the different variety of cherry tomatoes I planted this year. So the cherry tomatoes are a little more tedious. I have to, take those little green sprouts off at the top. And yeah, so I'll just separate a lot of the little tomatoes because they are another little monster in itself with taking those tops off. But so here, this is what I'm gonna use tonight. And I think we're gonna do pasta sauce or pizza sauce. We could use either one. We could use we could make pasta sauce, and the way how I make it, you could use it to make pizzas or you could use it for spaghetti, and we're going to water bath can it so it'll be shelf stable. um so yeah, so here's all my squash, and they're nice and clean, nice and clean, nice and clean. And all of the peppers are good and clean. So I'll basically keep all this, going. I just wanted to show the process of how I clean um, my garden, my garden tomatoes and the peppers and things to that nature. Um, so yeah, so that's the process. Oh, and one other thing failed to mention is, like, while I'm washing the tomatoes, sometimes I'll have a casualty or two of like this. They'll bust open. I don't use those. I just take and throw them in the trash, or either my compost bin. And yeah, so during the time of rinsing them, you'll have a casualty or two. But once the tomatoes break open like that, and I see everything's nice and clean, I don't normally use them. I just, pull them out, put them to the side. And yeah, see, everything's nice and clean. So now, basically, we could just store these in the freezer or either figure out exactly what we're going to do with them. And here is some more peppers and tomatoes from my garden. I had these in my freezer, and I'm running out of freezer space, and it's about to be fall, and I got to get ready to go to the meat market and stuff my deep freezer with, meats and things to that nature. So I really need the space. So I got to get these peppers out of there. Okay, so the big pepper was from the first crop of the summer, and these little guys are the lunchbox peppers that, I picked at the end of the season. And these are jalapenos that came out of the garden earlier in the summer. So I just figure, I got to get some of this stuff out of my freezer. Now, see, that tomato is perfectly fine on one side, but you see how it have a growth mark on it. So that's okay. That happens. My garden is organic, and if I could use it, I'll just cut that off, the ugly parts off. And yeah, the fertilizer that I used this year, I'm going to reuse it next year, especially on the tomatoes because they loved it, and the peppers. So look at all this. It just tickles me looking at all of this stuff I actually grew in my little garden. I can't believe it. God is so good. So I'm going to take a quick rinse and with some hot water, because I don't know how true it is. I've been watching a lot of videos, and some people were saying that botulism is on uh, the vegetables that you pick right out of the garden. So you shouldn't eat them. This is what one lady said. You shouldn't eat veggies right straight out of your garden without washing them properly, because, they have that botulism bacteria on it from, the fertilizer and the soil and all that stuff. So, some people said that's not true, so I don't know what to believe. So I know I'm going to feed this stuff. I'm going to eat this stuff and feed it to my family. So I just want to, wash everything down, make sure everything's nice and clean and squeaky clean, and cut everything up and can them, pressure can everything, and that'll be the end of it. Make sure everything's squeaky clean. Okay, so here's a glimpse of everything nice and squeaky clean. Done been rinsed off, done been scrubbed off and rinsed and double rinsed and hot rinsed and rinsed again. So now all we're doing is getting ready to figure out what we're going to do with all of this. We're going to make lots of soups and tomato sauce. And like I said, I just used one little drop of the dish detergent and, cleaned, scrubbed everything off. And I'll do one more rinse down to make sure everything's good and clean, and because I want to make sure I have a really good product that I'm canning up, putting in my my pantry for later use, whether I make cowboy candy or whether I make tomato sauce or marinara sauce, and here's the summer squash. They are so delicious, sauteed with a little butter and some basil and garlic. So yeah, so everything's good and clean. So I just wanted you guys to see that. And here's another look. I let everything sit and dry off. I gotta hurry and get that stuff done because, see, I'm in the middle of fall decorating, which that's gonna be another video. But yeah, so I got a lot of stuff going up for the fall, so we're gonna have to finish up with this canning. Okay? So we get the famous Ball Blue book, and I'm gonna go in here and see what, they have as far as with canning recipes for the tomato sauce and salsas and things that I could use as a cross salsa. Like I could use my marinara sauce as a tomato sauce, or but I want it to be chunky enough whereas too, if I decide to warm it up, I could also use it as a dip. So they do have recipes that, in the Ball Blue book that you could have you could use, and have multi purposes for whatever it is you're making. So here, I'm going to just let you guys see how I'm taking the tops of the tomatoes off, the growth part of the stem of the tomato off. And I just put a little slice in the back because I decided I'm going to do a roasted, I'm going to roast these tomatoes and the basil and the jalapenos and things to that nature. So yeah, I'm going to just slice everything and put the little X at the bottom, and across the top I'll take off the tomato part at the top, the growth part and little stuff like that, and just cut it on off. Any blemishes it have, because that's the nature of it, but we're growing it ourselves in our yard. So, you're going to have some, beauty blemishes. But, yeah, so I'm gonna just cut up everything, and I'm gonna put them in the oven with some garlic and peppers and onions, and we're gonna see what we come up with. Okay, so those peppers ran me out of the kitchen. I call myself putting on a mask, and I put on my gloves because I knew better. But oh my goodness, the peppers were so strong, it like choked me. I was coughing and carrying on, and I had put on one of my old COVID masks, and the smell still got through. So I just ran a little bit of cool water onto the peppers, and that kind of calmed down the issue. But I'm so glad that my oldest son wasn't walking around, And I did this later at night. I think it was like around 11:30, 12 o'clock when I started doing this, because I wanted to get it done, and time was of the essence. So, because those tomatoes was just getting too ripe and too soft. So I had to get it done. But my oldest son, he has asthma real bad. So I'm glad I did this late at night while he was in bed sleeping, because the way how those peppers choked me, it would have definitely, I'd have had to stop the video and I'd have had to take him to the ER because those peppers were strong, okay? So I made it through, so everything's good. I'm putting on my garlic, and so I think I'm gonna make a pasta sauce. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I love roasted garlic and tomatoes together. I don't care whether I'm making a marinara sauce, even if I'm just making tomato paste. I love garlic and tomatoes together. And I'm just drizzling a little bit of olive oil. I love that too with my tomatoes and garlic. Can't get enough of olive oil. I think that's what I'm going to make too next with the next set of tomatoes. I'm going to make a nice garlic, roasted tomato and garlic with olive oil and basil dip. And you could just dip into it with some cheese, and oh my goodness. So yeah, so those tomatoes went into the oven. And here we are with the cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to just pop all of those off. And you see they're good and clean. And they all are ready to go. And I'm just inspecting them to make sure that everything's good. And I better figure out what I'm going to do with these because they're nice and sweet. And I'll sit here and eat these like candy, okay? Okay, so here we're back into this book, and I like this blue book with all the tomato recipes. So this is the recipe that we're gonna go with tonight. So we got our citric acid, we got everything. We're doing all the prep work now, and the tomatoes and onions and everything is in the oven roasting. So basically all I need to know is how much time I have the water bath can, if I'm going to hot pack or cold pack. And if you are a canner, then you know this language that I'm speaking. So I think I'm going to go with the cold pack method, because I just want to be able to preserve some of these garden cherry tomatoes and break them out at any time later on in the winter months to put in soups and salads and things to that nature. So I don't want them crushed up at all. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to load up a lot of those little cherry tomatoes, and we're going to just hot water bath can them with some seasoning. And so basically I just have to know how much head space I have to leave in there. And yeah, double check the recipe, triple check it, because anytime you know, canning, you want to make sure that everything is doing good and that you're following a proven recipe, because you don't want to can something and it make your family sick with botulism, okay? So here's our roasted tomatoes, and they're looking good with the garlic. Good, good, good. I can't wait to taste. So yeah, so I'm going to take the skins as much as I could off these tomatoes, and I got my water canner ready, and I got the water in the back ready to steam the gaskets for my lids. So I like to lay everything out. Here's my citric acid for the preservers. I got my jars nice and clean and warm and ready. And I got some other jars warming up, sitting here in hot water. So we're ready to just start loading these jars up. So here, I'm just putting in the onions, and I'm going to put in some seasoning, and I'm going to do two different ways of preserving these tomatoes. The big tomatoes I'm going to cut in fours like you see there, and I'm going to just drop them in. And the little cherry tomatoes, I'm going to just drop all of them in a jar and just hot water bath can them. So they'll be good to, go on my shelf in my basement. And I could open those up later on in the winter to, put in salads or something like that. And I wasn't too sure what I wanted to use these tomato halves that I'm packing in there for now. I don't know what I want to use them for, so I'm just gonna preserve the tomatoes intact the way they are, and I'm gonna use my citric acid to help, preserve them. And so I'm following the recipe of how much citric acid to use. The Blue Book tells you how much acid to use. And right there it tells you to debubble, and I have to leave a 1/2 inch of head space. Clean the rim of the jar with some vinegar. And I got my lids out of the water, and the gaskets, that rubber part is nice and sticky. So I'm putting that down onto the jar, and you just screw it down finger tight. Don't put your whole hand into tightening the jar down. You don't want it so tight. Just tight enough for your fingers, okay? And I'm loading up the next jar with some, nice warm water. And making sure all the water gets all the way down in there. Well, we call it debubbling, so make sure you debubble. And yeah, I always put my citric acid in the jars before I put the tomatoes in, so I won't forget it. You need your citric acid. There it is right there. See, I like to put it in the jars before I put the tomatoes in, just so I won't forget it, okay? And here I'm just loading up the little jars with the cherry tomatoes in them. And I'm going to add some garlic and some onions. I'm going to load them up as much as I can. And that's this process. Put some water in, leaving a 1/2 inch head space. Wipe the top off. And this device is how you measure your head space. So it says leave 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm measuring for all the way around. Make sure that the tomatoes is all the way down. Making sure the water is getting all between all the tomatoes. Because I'll be so heartbroken if I crack these open and some air done got to them and they growing mold on the inside. I'll be so pissed. So to make sure that don't happen, you know, just make sure we just follow the recipe. Okay. So that was that. And here our roasted tomatoes are good. I really needed to let them sit a little while longer, but while they're nice and hot, that's a good time to just pop off the skin, the tomato skin. See how easy it just peels right off? So that's what I'm doing with these guys. So I got like 3 different projects going on. I'm a multitasker, you know, and like I said, around by the time I started doing this, it was like 2:15. So I didn't get finished this project until like around 4 o'clock. And then I had to turn around and get up at 5:30. I didn't really get any sleep this night. I had to get my guys up at 5:30 because my youngest son, Isaac, his school bus comes at 6:50 to pick him up. So I had to wake him up, make sure he was up, dressed, and ate by time 6:50 and outside at the bus stop. And same with my other guy. So I had a lot going on. But yeah, while I'm peeling those tomatoes, I got my other cans in here in the water bath. And you have to let it go up to a rolling boil like you see. And yeah, that's what's going to make sure those cans and those lids seal down nice and tight. And they'll be ready to be preserved. I try to keep my area when I'm pressure canning and hot water bath canning as tidy as possible. And here, all of the skins are off. And we have our other cans in the, we have our other jars in the hot water bath canner. So I'm doing pretty good. I was kind of seeing doubles by this point. But look how beautiful that looks. That looks so good. And I was thinking about putting them on in the roaster pot, but then I'm thinking, no, I'm going to just go ahead on and jar everything on up. So here, this is the next day after I got the guys off to school and I took a nap and everything. So this is what everything looks like coming out of the pressure, the hot water bath can, and look at how nice everything looks. Now, that little space at the bottom, from what I read in the Ball Blue book, that's perfectly normal, okay? And this is the part where everybody, you know, cringe. You got to make sure that this lid has sealed tight. And how you know, you have to test it by picking it up by that lid. And what do you know? It's sealed. Because if it's going to pop off, I'd rather for it to pop off right now, right then, instead of me putting it on my shelf and air getting into it. And then it grows mold and all that stuff. And when I want some garden tomatoes like in December or January, I go downstairs in my basement to look and they would be all molded. So good thing all is airtight. So that's what I needed to happen. So I'll go ahead and test all the other jars like that to make sure that, you know, we have a good seal, a nice good suction seal. And yeah, from what I read, that space at the bottom is perfectly normal. And they'll eventually settle down once the water cools off. And I put them on in my pantry. So, yep, that's sealed. So I just turn it upside down to make sure that, you know, all the seasoning and everything, all the water gets all through the tomatoes. And I'll test that one. That did good. Nice and sealed. So yeah, I'll test everything and make sure that, all of the cans have sealed. And then, yeah, I'll take them down and put them in my basement. And now I have just preserved some of my garden tomatoes. And here are those tomato halves that I cut up. Now I could use these. I could make something later on with these tomato halves. But for now, I just had to get them cut up and preserved into the jars because they were getting really, really ripe. So, yeah, this will be excellent over some rice, and you could, cook them and make stewed tomatoes out of them. Stew the tomatoes and put them over some rice. Or I could go ahead on and make them into another marinara or tomato paste or whatever. The options is endless when you preserve your tomatoes like that, okay? But I just didn't want all my hard work with growing these tomatoes to go to waste because we're not eating them fast enough. And I gifted a lot of them away to neighbors and things to that nature. And I still have a bumper crop of them. So yeah, so that's how I canned up my tomatoes. And this is our roasted garlic tomatoes. And I decided I'm going to can these up, but this was so delicious, you guys. You could use this as pasta sauce. You could put that in your pasta, or you could just use it as a dip with Doritos and sour cream. You could even put it on your tacos. I mean, the ideas to use this is endless, and you season it to taste. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm putting a little onion powder in it. So I always season it to my taste. So I don't have no measurements to give you guys or anything like that. Because when it gets to this point in the game, I'm just seasoning it for my taste buds. But I just wanted to let you guys see quickly, like what you could do with your garden tomatoes. So I have brought y'all with me from the beginning to this point with these tomatoes. You saw how I roasted them in the oven and all that stuff. And I mean, this is really good. Time for a little taste test. I have to taste it. And it got all the onions and peppers, bell peppers, and jalapeno peppers. I love jalapeno peppers and tomatoes and garlic. So we're going to go in for a nice little taste. Oh, and that pop of jalapeno just punches you right in the face. It's hot, but it's really good. It's really, really good. So I'm just thinking to myself, I could pop some of this out and pull this out during Super Bowl weekend, eat with on some tacos, or either with some chips and dip. The ideas is endless. I had to do the voiceover because my son started playing music. So it's what I'm saying here is, it's really, really versatile. You could use it for, your chips and dip, or you could use it You could just eat this. I could just eat this just like that. Okay, I don't need no chips or no dip or nothing. All I need is a spoon because it's sweet. It got a little sweetness to it because I did add a little brown sugar. But when you uh, taste the heat from the jalapeno peppers and the hot peppers that I cut up that almost choked me to death, it really, brought out the flavors. So basically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to can this up too. And I showed you the process of this. So I'm not going to bore you guys with showing you how I'm going to can and preserve this up. But yeah, look how nice and thick. And I personally like a chunky um, salsa. You could use this as salsa. And again, like I said, you could use it for your pasta. You could put it in spaghetti. You know, the ideas is endless. Okay? So I'm not going to bore you guys with watching me, jar this up. So there, I'm going right to the salsa jalapeno recipe because that's what it has, jalapeno peppers, and you have to go by exactly what it's telling you to do with canning jalapeno peppers in salsa as far as with the time. So always just remember to follow the recipes as far as with the timing with that, okay? And here we are done. Oh my goodness. I have salsa, I have marinara sauce, I have canned tomatoes, I have whole tomatoes, I have half tomatoes, I have cherry tomatoes, and all of this came from my garden. God is good. So I know this video was long, but I thank you guys for tuning in. And until the next one, take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you guys in the next one.